Welcome everybody on this London tour. I'm Jeanne and I'll be your guide for today. From cultural places to economic centers, we will visit the most famous places on London. First of all, we're going to start the visit by somewhere you must have seen already. One of London's most famous symbols, the London Eye. It's the most popular paid tourist attraction in the United Kingdom, with over 3 million visitors annually, and has made many appearances in popular culture. The structure is 135 meters high. On the other bank of the Thames, we can see Big Ben. This wonderful monument of London is the most famous in the capital. Everyone knows it. It's our Eiffel Tower. The minute's hand measures 4 meters long and weighs about 100 kilos. The numbers are approximately 60 centimeters long.
I think it's a little bit demeaning to say that it is our Eiffel Tower. Unlike the Eiffel Tower, our Big Ben is useful. And to be exact, the minute hand measures 4.2 meters, but I understand that for people like you, it is insignificant, isn't it? But it is also a political place where the House of Parliament, composed of the House of Commons and the House of Lords, is located. This is where the most important decisions for our wonderful country are taken, and it is also the only place where, where you will have the chance to hear the marvelous and sweet voice of John Bercow, the Speaker of the House of Commons. This makes London the political heart of England.
Thank you, Professor Martin. Now we're gonna take the Westminster Bridge and continue on the long avenue to reach Buckingham Palace. It was built in 1703 and this is the residence of Queen Elizabeth II. There are 775 rooms here. This makes enough rooms for the Queen to sleep in a different room for 2 years. On your right, you can see the Batteressa Power Station. It's an old coal station power plant which closed in 1982 because of the smoke it produced in London. The neighborhood has since been, has since been filled with empty factories and it's an underprivileged area. In 2013, a renovation project was created, planning to, planning to build hotels, offices, residential areas, tube connection, green spaces, and even the US Embassy.
Well, it's normal when we see the money invested in it. It is estimated at 10 billion pounds. It's a huge amount of money due to the use of architecture. Because I think you know what it is. The buildings are designed by famous or high-profile architects like Frank Gehry or Norman Foster and are built for a very wealthy population. And for the anecdote, this awful factory has been used by a famous music group as the cover of one of their albums. Of course, you know which group I'm talking about. No? Well, it's the Pink Floyd. You really don't know anything, do you? What a shame.
Oh, renovation programs are part of a bigger project to make London a sustainable city. New areas like Bedzed are built with ecology in mind. Bedzed is a sustainable neighborhood in the south of London, which includes, I think, 2,500 square meters of offices and shops, with a community area, public and private green spaces, sports complex, restaurants, and cogeneration units. It is the first complex of this size and of this energy efficiency level to have been built in the United Kingdom with the principle of ecological habitats. This project quickly became a benchmark of the debate. Many tourists come to visit it each year.
We almost arrived at Piccadilly Circus. It's a road junction and public space of London. It was built in 1819 and it's a round open space which links directly to big avenues. Piccadilly refers to a place which is extremely busy. This place also inspired a lot of musicians and artists like Bob Marley in the song Kinky Reggae or the painter Charles Jenner. Also, If you are keen on video games, you will have noticed that in Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the second campaign mission takes place in Piccadilly Circus.
Piccadilly Circus is a very important economic place, because since London is the world's most visited city with around 20 million tourists each year, the markets here are very important for the companies, and thanks to this mass of tourists, they make huge profits.
Just near Piccadilly Circus, we can also visit Chinatown. It's an ethnic enclave located in the city of Westminster. It contains an unbelievable number of Chinese restaurants, bakeries, supermarkets, souvenir shops, and other Chinese run businesses. It's a place you absolutely have to go if you come visit London, because everyone says it's one of the best places to eat with many Asian restaurants and to see a piece of the Asian culture. We have the chance here in London to be multicultural, so enjoy it!
You're right. London is one of the richest cities in terms of cultural mixity since it was founded by immigrants and nowadays 34% of its population was born outside of the United Kingdom. We can take as an example the borough of Kensington, which is the French neighborhood, or even Brixton, more marked by Caribbean or Portuguese communities. But this also creates a lot of problems in the city because there are also low-skilled migrants that struggle to find a job that offers enough for them to find a place to live in or even to eat. 2018 riots have shown us that London is not so nice as it seems to be, as the economic power of London also creates a lot of economic disparities and thus creates spatial discriminations, with the impoverished populations living in the inner city while wealthy populations move towards the suburbs. This creates a lot of tensions that led to the violent riots in 2018.
Professor Martin, you have always so much to say. Let's continue our visit of London with the shopping and entertainment hub in London. Covent Garden is one of the best areas in London that seems to attract lots of visitors. If it's your first time in London and you're looking to explore some of the most famous neighborhoods of the city, then Covent Garden is easily up there as one of the best.
Are we going to see the green belt?
Well,
Unfortunately, it's not on the road.
What a shame, it's pretty amazing arrangement. As the name tells us, it is like a belt around the city. The green belt is a concept created to control the growth of city and to prevent urban sprawl. First applied in London in 1944. The idea of a green belt is to surround the conurbation with an unbuilt area, where urbanization will be limited in order to maintain an area where agriculture, forests, and outdoor recreation can develop. Because London is in constant growth and green spaces are essential for the well-being of people.
now we arrive at the Barbican Centre. It's the largest performing arts center in Europe. The center hosts classical and contemporary music concerts, theater performances, film screenings, and art exhibitions. The London Symphony Orchestra and the BBC Symphony Orchestra are also based here.
And the Barbican Centre is a member of the Global Cultural Districts Network.
Indeed, sir.
Oh, my turn to add an interesting fact. The Barbican Centre is managed, funded and owned by the Corporation of the City of London, the third largest arts patron in the UK. It was built as a gift from the City of London to the nation at a cost of £61 million. The centre hosts the annual UK Snooker Championship in November each year.
That's really interesting. More seriously, the cathedral just right there is an emblematic religious building designed by Sir Christopher in 1666. It's the most famous cathedral of London, called the St. Paul Cathedral. It's located in the city of London. At 111 meters high, it was the tallest building in London from 1710 to 1963.
And it's important to say that the City of London has been a semi-independent city since 1066 and is still nowadays. Indeed, it has its own mayor called the Lord Mayor. The City of London, or also the Square Mile, is the second financial center in the world after New York, so it's a really important part of London. This square is really dynamic because there are mainly workers there, but in the evening this place becomes lifeless.
To say in the City of London, we can have a look at the Museum of London. It documents the history of the UK's capital city from prehistoric to modern times. It's a part of the Barbican complex of buildings. It's around a 5 minute walk from St. Paul Cathedral, and it's primarily concerned with the social history of London and its inhabitants throughout the time. The Museum of London has a lot of visitors each year. It's attracted over 6 million visitors between April 2018 and March 2019. As you can see, the traffic is quite slow right now, so please be patient a little bit until the next stop.
Hey, if you want, I can tell you a few things about congestion in London while we are waiting. Did you know that in 2017, London was ranked the 7th worst city in the world for traffic jam? In order to reduce it, the city introduced a tax for every car and truck that comes into the inner city. It permits a reduction of 15% of the traffic in this area. However, taxis and delivery companies are not concerned by this tax, and the rise of delivery companies such as Uber or Amazon has reduced the effect of the policy. Pollution is another important problem that London is facing. Indeed, almost 2 million people are living in areas with illegal air pollution. Air pollution is accountable for 40,000 early deaths in the UK each year. Therefore, in April 2019, a new congestion charge was introduced in central London. All diesel cars now have to pay a tax daily if they want to drive in the area. I finished my speech just in time.
Yeah, we arrived in the economic heart of the City of London, the primary financial district. You can see on your left the Gherkin.
It was completed in December 2003 and opened in April 2004. It has 41 floors and it is 180 meters high.
I personally work in the Gherkin in Swiss Re, which is an insurance company. I think this place represents well the City of London, which is specialized in financial and insurance services. Indeed, the Gherkin hosts 4 companies, 2 insurance companies, 1 service company, and 1 lawyer's office. We have a restaurant downstairs to have lunch or take coffee. The Talkie-Walkie is also another famous skyscraper in the Square Mile. All those quarters of big international companies make the City of London to be the heart of the economical power of London and places London as the most powerful city in the world when speaking about the economy. Working here allows me to say that London is very well connected with the world. We're constantly in relation with people on the other side of the planet because London is a powerful economic center, so London needs to be in relation with the whole world. London is also well connected in every type of flux. For example, people, information, capitals, and lots more. Indeed, London possesses 5 international airports linked with the whole world and is connected to a Trans-Europe railway connecting all the major cities of Europe.
Also called the Cheese Grater, the Leadenham building is also located in the City of London, just near the Gherkin. We call it the cheese grater because of its distinctive wedge shape, similar to the kitchen utensil with the same name. Those 2 skyscrapers, We so reflect the international economic influence of London.
You're right, but don't forget that London is expanding a lot and created two new CBDs. It's the urban expansion. The first one is Canary Wharf in East London. Before the 20s, it was a docking area, but in the project of urban renewal, this place has been transformed into a CBD. The second one is London Bridge Quarters, that I'm sure you know, it's where the Shard is situated.
Oh, yes, I know.
Yes, this is a very famous monument. And there is another CBD which is one of the projects of the future of the urban renewable, the ICT, which claims to be specialized in new sustainable high-tech services and factories.
The visit almost comes to its end. But before, let's talk about the Tower of London. It was founded more than 1,000 years ago by William the Conqueror in 1078 and was a resented symbol of oppression inflicted upon London by the new ruling elite. The castle was also used as a prison from 1100 to 1962, and it also served as a royal residence. However, today this wonderful monument is characterized as a cultural place by UNESCO and attracts over 2 million visitors each year.
To be precise, because precision doesn't seem to be one of your qualities, it was created towards the end of 1060.
Thank you, Professor Martin. Just near the Tower of London, we're gonna end our London tour by the Tower Bridge, which is a combined bascule and suspension bridge in London, built between 1886 and 1894. The Tower Bridge is near the Tower of London, and it has become a world famous symbol of London. In the 19th century, there were a lot of problems during the elaboration of this bridge. More than 50 designs were submitted, but no one was approved until 1884, when it was decided to build a bascule bridge. The Tower Bridge was officially opened on June the 30th of 1894.
And we can say that crossing the Thames from one bank to another is an allegory of the UK separating from Europe by the Channel, and that the bus that we're in is the representation of England leaving Europe. We can call it the Brexit.
That may be too deep, but for sure, but the Brexit had big consequences on London, and it will still be an important question in the next few years.
Oh, yeah? And why so? Because I'm a Londonian and I didn't see any changes.
Of course, I'm not telling you your life has changed, but I'm speaking about the political and economical aspects. Indeed, before the Brexit, a lot of transnational companies moved their headquarters in London because of its characteristic
Of global city, I understood. But all of that are not really good for the environment.
Yes. That's it, but you could have let me finish. Never mind. When Brexit was declared, some companies like Dyson moved their headquarters again, but this time outside London, and it's not that interesting for London and its worldwide influence.
We are now getting to the end of our visit. I'm sad to leave you so soon because your comments on the visit were really enriching. Even your intervention, Professor Martin. I have been very pleased to be your guide, and I hope you have enjoyed the visit and of the wonderful city that is London.